Hop listeners, before we start the show, we want to take a moment to thank our friends at FNX Fitness. FNX is your one-stop online shop for all the supplements you need to get the most out of your workout. FNXFit.com is the place to grab yourself some multivitamins, some super greens, some pre-workout, some delicious vanilla milkshake whey protein. Despite all this beer drinking, I am a healthy person, people. I've had a lot of protein powders in my day. FNX protein tastes great in my smoothies, but it's the first protein powder I've ever found that genuinely tastes even better when you just dissolve it into some milk or water. Who else can say that? Head over to fnxfit.com and get 15% off your purchase using our exclusive promo code. Simply enter HOPOD15 at checkout. That's HOPOD15 at checkout. Save 15%, get a great deal, and get healthy. Work off the beer. Let's grab a drink.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and all that fun stuff in between. What's going on, everybody? The boys are back. The Hop round 24. Kobe. We are heading back east for this round to... Steven, where are we going?
We're going to Grimm Artisanal Ales, but I just have to say, I'm having a weird moment because right when the music was finishing, I thought, I'm going to say good afternoon, good evening, and good night from The Truman Show. And then you did, and that's really weird that we both went to the same exact place in our heads.
We share a brain at this point.
I know.
There have been so many times when you've said something that I've been like, well, oh my God, I was going to say that.
That was just that threw me for a loop. But okay, Grimm Artisanal Ales. I'm really excited about this episode because I've known about Grimm. I have drank Grimm beers before, but after spending a day with the folks at Grimm at their brewery researching this place, I'm a big fan.
Jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous is a strong word to use. I have never had Grimm. I knew about Grimm, but I didn't know anything specific. Never had a beer, so this episode for me is a learning experience. Come along and join us, won't you?
Yeah, let's kick things off with a bit of news.
With a downer.
With a downer. Firestone Walker leaving Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. Firestone Walker is exiting these three states. They are retrenching. They had already pulled out of a few other states in the area, Vermont, Maine, and Rhode Island. But now they're leaving Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts as well, which just firms up my plans to stay in LA forever. Firestone Walker has been impacted by COVID-19, of course, and the loss of on-premise sales in their eastern markets has left them with no choice but to kind of downsize. So they are having to lay off 9 members of their team. They're currently keeping them furloughed while they look for other employment, possibly move them west, move them elsewhere in the company. We've brought up Firestone Walker before. Big fan of this brewery. They're based in Paso Robles. They have a spot down here in Southern California as well. They make great beer. They're owned by Duvel Mortgott. But as I mentioned, even before COVID-19, they had been kind of moving away from the New England market. So they're firming that up now. Firestone Walker still does have an East Coast footprint in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, and Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I was just about to say, guess where they still are? New York. Because I see their beers all the time, especially at, shout out City Swiggers. Still see it there. So, Steven, L.A., New York,
well,
one and the same. One's warm, one's stupid hot with humidity, but who are you to judge?
And only one of those has the actual Firestone Walker brewery, a stone's throw away, if you can throw a stone like 8 miles, but it's nearby.
It's tough because we could get it in our home state of Connecticut, but no longer.
No longer.
Moving on to better news, Allagash adding some new and improved beers to their lineup. They are adding a sparkling session ale, a stout, and they are turning their flagship white into a 6-pack rather than a 4-pack, as it always originally is packaged. This basically was a 3 to 4 year effort and strategy of releasing the new beers and releasing the 6-pack of the Allagash White. They are basically compressing it into 3 months. Founder Rob Todd was quoted saying, "It's going to be a lift, a lot of work and effort on our part, and we're going to need our wholesale partners who have been great partners for the last 25 years to execute on this. We've got a tremendous amount of optimism that we are going to really see a lot of success and be able to deliver on everything you're about to see in a very short 3-month period." They're introducing a new core year-round product. It's a line of low-calorie, low-alcohol. They're calling them sparkling session ales made with fruit, and they are called Little Grove. The Little Grove will be sold in 6-packs of 12-ounce cans with suggested retail price of $12.99. Both offerings checking in under 4% ABV, 3.6%, and 3.8%. As far as the stout, it is called the Allagash North Sky, coming in at a 7.5% ABV. It will be sold in a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, it looks
when you said 3.6% ABV, I was like, what's the point? Why?
The new fab all around is the easy to drinkers, the session ales, as we like to call them. And so they're, providing for the people. And then, of course, their classic Allagash White, which normally comes, like I said, in a 4-pack, is now starting to come in a 6-pack. All of these changes, new beers, and the new packaging is all, they're targeting a September launch for everything to get it moving. Like the owner said, it's going to be quick, it's going to be hard, but they are going for it. So Allagash stepping it up once again.
Speaking of new things, Jack Daniel's is launching a new spirit-based line of canned cocktails. Right in time for the summer, they are introducing their Jack Daniel's Jack and Seltzer, Jack and Cola, and Jack Honey and Lemonade. They will be available in select markets beginning this month. The cocktails are made with real Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey, perfectly mixed and ready to enjoy in convenient packaging. With ABVs coming around 7%, the Jack and Seltzer's at 5%. The company's spokesperson, Lisa Hunter, said, "We're always listening to our friends, and these new canned cocktails will be a convenient and refreshing way for them to enjoy our Tennessee whiskey with a selection of wonderful flavors. Each drink is perfectly balanced to highlight the flavors of our charcoal mellowed whiskey in a drinkable and convenient format. This is real Jack, and it's ready to go." So this is dope. And like I said, they will be available this summer in a list of states that is very long and inclusive, but excludes Montana. Boom! Got him again! Didn't need to, wasn't necessary, but I took another shot because I could.
Because why wouldn't we take shots? And last but not least, Wiley Roots Brewing Company in Colorado announced that the brewery raised $5,500 last month with the release of their new product, Howl at the Moon Together, to fight COVID-19. This is all happening in Greeley, Colorado. Another great reason to go visit and stay in Colorado. Wiley Roots released, it's a blood orange hard seltzer. It is called Howl at the Moon Together. It comes in a 16-ounce 4-pack, basically to raise money to supply local organizations with needed hand sanitizer and personal protective equipment, such as gloves, masks, things like that. They are partnering with Innovative Labeling Solutions, Source of Nature, Propagate Lab, and the distribution arm of WeldWorks Brewing Company to reduce the cost of production, allowing the brewery to raise as much money as possible from the sale of the hard seltzer. Howl at the Moon Together hard seltzer is a refreshing 4.5%, made with, like I said, the whole fruit blood orange puree. It was named for the collective 8 p.m. howl that can be heard across Colorado, and it pays tribute to essentials and frontline workers. in New York City at 7 p.m., we all go outside our windows and we clap and we howl. Apparently, in Colorado, there's a legit howl.
Yeah, they howl at the moon.
They're like wolves.
Yeah, that's very Colorado. Are you still doing that? Are they still... They're not. That's not still... Is that still a thing?
It's like...
It's petering out. There's like one guy with pots and pans.
That's what I was just about to say. Like, on my street, there's like one guy who's got like the pot and pan, and he's like hitting it, and everyone else is just like, yeah.
We're tired. Listen, I need a drink. You need a drink. We all need a drink. Everyone needs a drink. Collectively, as a nation, we need a drink. So I'm going to give you a toast.
Oh, boy.
And then we're going to drink. Because that's what we do here on the podcast. All right, so here's the thing. A few weeks ago, when we were discussing a brewery in Colorado, which one I'm forgetting because I'm a bad person, we were discussing Hunter S. Thompson. And so that got me thinking about Hunter S. Thompson, and that seemed really appropriate because he's a journalist that had a very depressing end to his life. You're welcome to read about it if you want to. It just seemed appropriate for a company, for a brewery called Grimm. So I'm just going to read you a Hunter S. Thompson quote. He was apparently a big drinker too, but that's our toast today.
Okay. I'm a little nervous.
I hate to advocate drugs, alcohol, violence, or insanity to anyone, but they've always worked well for me. Let us toast to animal pleasures, to escapism, to rain on the roof and instant coffee, to unemployment insurance and library cards, to absinthe and good-hearted landlords, to music and warm bodies and contraceptives, and to the good life, whatever it is and wherever it happens to be. Schlancha.
Thank you, Hunter.
Bang.
You lost me at good landlords, but other than that, solid work.
Good-hearted landlords. Who wouldn't love a good-hearted landlord?
Who wouldn't love a good, hard-on landlord?
Oh,
I would. Let's drink.
I'm excited for this because Grimm Artisanal Ales, honestly, they kind of remind me of the brewery. Very small batch, very limited release beers. A younger brewery than a lot of the ones we've done in the past.
Yeah, they're young bucks, and that's always great to see.
I'm drinking their. I'm kicking things off with their Piña Pop, which is
I guess Steven's going first.
Okay, their Piña Pop is a sour ale with pineapple and coconut. It is part of this sort of pop series, this recurring pop series that they have. The first one was a cherry raspberry pop, which was a kettle sour with tart cherries, raspberries, vanilla, and milk sugar. Recently, they released their Power Pop, which was a juicy Citra, Azteca, and Mandarina Bavaria hops with vanilla and milk sugar. And this one is sour ale, pineapple, coconut, kind of brewed like a Berliner Weiss, with, you guessed it, Tahitian vanilla and milk sugar. Yes. And a final dose of cashmere hopping to amp up the coconut aromatics and transform this pop into sour candy juice.
Wow.
Ooh,
wow.
Shoo, buddy. Okay, it's got an ABV of 4.3%. It's got IBUs, I think. It's got an SRM.
Maybe.
It's probably around like a 5. It's like a glowing. It looks like pineapple juice. It's like very bright yellow, vibrant yellow.
From my perspective, it looks like orange juice.
Yeah, I think it's the lighting in here, but like it's more of a yellow thing, but it is that like it looks very juicy in that it's not hazy, but it's opaque. It's maybe it's hazy. You can't see through it, that's for sure. Beer Advocate users have given it a 90. Untapped gave it a 0.08. So it was canned. I don't usually mention when it was canned, but I'm just letting you know because of how not fresh the beer I had was last week, I'm letting you know that this was canned on May 4th, 2020, and I'm drinking it out of a stemmed wine glass.
Every time we sample something and it's coconut related, I immediately go to the Avery Brewing, that like 17% coconut porter we had, where it just knocked us on our asses.
That was crazy. That was like early days of this show. And like, why did we do all those beers at once? It's just like, we were fucking hammered that night. We?
I'm getting us off topic though. We're focusing on Grimm. My bad, Grimm.
Okay. On the nose, you get sweet citrus up front. It smells like pineapple juice. Mostly. I don't get a lot of vanilla or coconut on the nose. I do get some sour esters. Like you definitely smell it and you know it's going to be sour. But the main thing that hits me is like pineapple, cantaloupe, orange peel, maybe a little grapefruit, like all the citrusy things, but the sweet cider citrus. But
the citrus family,
but it is pineapple juice. It's not pineapple. There's a difference to me in my head. Like when you smell pineapple juice out of a can, it's like that kind of densely concentrated pineapple
factory.
Yeah. Well,
smell.
Get rid of the aluminum part and the rest of it. All right, here we go.
Oh my God, his face right now. He's so perplexed.
I'm just trying to find the more delicate flavors in it. Definitely pineapple. I mean, that is loud and clear when you drink it. You know, this beer in previous iterations was 6% ABV, and now it's 4.3% ABV, the one that I currently have. And I'm wondering if this new iteration they brewed is a little bit more subtle with the sweeter flavors, because I don't know where the milk sugar, the vanilla, the coconut is. I do know that as the beer warms, those things tend to come forward, so maybe that'll start to hit me over time. The first taste is definitely tart. It hits you with the citrusy pineapple, lemon. It smelled like from far away, it smelled a little bit more pina colada-y than it did when I actually smelled it up close. But ever since I got close to it, I'm just like, I'm searching for the coconut, I'm searching for the vanilla, I'm searching for the milk sugar. I don't know where it is. It's
hiding.
It's yummy. It's definitely refreshing and light-bodied. It's drinkable.
Could you personally crush a few of those, or is it more of like, oh, that was nice, now on to something else?
Okay. I'm starting to find the vanilla. I'm starting to find it. I could sip on a few of them, but it'd be more like having a few glasses of wine. It's not like, not because of the ABV, but just because of the tartness, the acidity. Like if you just like went through these really quickly, I don't know, you just like, your mouth would be, it'd be too much. Yeah, the vanilla is there. It's in the back. It's hiding in the back. So you feel it on the back of your palate. You do not feel it in the front. And, you definitely start to get it more as it warms, but it's not the first. Like, it's weird because it's like if I hadn't researched this beer and I just took a sip of it, I'd be like, oh, okay, pineapple, and I'd move on.
Right.
And you have to keep paying attention because it's subtle. It does other things. Like, you can't just like take the first sip and move on. It's brewed with toasted coconut, and I will say, as it's starting to warm, that is coming through. I guess, okay, here's what it is. In researching this beer, and in even just as I started to describe it to the people, I was starting to get nervous almost, because I'm like, this is going to be really sweet, and it's not. The sweetness of the coconut, it's because it's toasted coconut, it kind of tastes more bitter, more burned coconut a little bit. The sourness, the tartness of the sour takes away from the sweetness, so it's not cloying, and it's anything but cloying. It's hardly sweet. I thought it was going to be more of a dessert beer, and it's more on the end of Berliner Weiss.
Is it not sweet enough, or is it just like, oh, it's just not there? Like, where do you need more sweetness?
It's just not. It's just not what I was expecting in my brain hole when I when I prepared for this beer. And now that I'm drinking it, I'm like, oh, okay. I guess if I was expecting a dessert beer and I'm getting a Berliner Weiss, but it's still really interesting and unique and not something that a lot of breweries do. So, yeah, it's just like when I looked at this and the other pop series that Grimm does, it reminded me of that bakery series from the brewery that we had.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like super sweet dessert beer. And this isn't that. And
This isn't going to go with a piece of chocolate cake. This is going to go like, you know, when you're outside sitting with friends.
No, and I'm not complaining about that. I didn't really want that. It's just weird when your expectations are just off.
Just thrown for a loop in the trash can.
But
hey, I get it.
It's good. I mean, it's like, you know, if you're into sours, this is a subtle one. I mean, it's not very tart. It's more juicy, but it's refreshing, dry in the mouth, drinkable, fairly light-bodied, and it leaves you wanting more. I keep going back for more. And at 4.3%, you can drink as much as you want.
You can drink 8 of those and feel just slightly buzzed, depending on what kind of person you are.
Your sour looks so pretty and red.
Dude, look at this shit. I actually do have a Berliner Weiss. It is called the Color Field by Grimm. This just ruby grapefruit color looking sour is very intriguing. This is coming at a 3.5% ABV. IBUs, throw them in the trash. SRM, what would you call grapefruit juice ruby red?
I would call it probably somewhere in the middle, maybe like it's almost on the wine SRM chart. I mean, if I had to put it on,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't put this distinctively on the beer.
Yeah,
SRM
I mean,
just because it's like not there.
Maybe around like a 2021, but it's not. Yeah, it's more of a wine color. It's like pink.
Beer Advocate gave it an 87. Untapped gave it a 3.79. Now, according to Grimm, the color field is a Berliner brewed according to the traditional method and infused with a trio of botanicals: rose hips, chamomile, and hibiscus. It's been noted as being very floral and very fruity. I'm drinking this out of a tulip glass, as was suggested by the bottle of the brewery. Oh yeah, fruity McFruit is punching me in the mouth right now. Fully expected. I looked up the beer, and then when I pour it, I was like, oh yeah.
I like the head that's on it because it's like it's white, but it's pink almost, and it kind of retained more than mine did. It's like still kind of sitting there.
It was very, when I first poured it, it was very fluffy and pillowy, and then it got down to just like a centimeter size. In the middle of the drink, there's nothing, but it's all on the edge. Lacing there's a little bit of stickiness, not too much. But yeah, citrus and floral are right on the top of the nose. I read a review that said it was perfumey. Yeah, maybe. I could kind of see that. I'm getting a hint of that. I'm also getting a hint of spice in the nose, and it's been noted as kind of having that to the aroma, which was really cool. So I am getting a little bit of that with it, and I'm gonna dive right in to what it is.
That is interesting that you're getting a little bit of spice because it is a Berliner Weiss, so it's probably brewed with those kinds of yeasts and things that we would associate with other Belgian beers.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think it's because I've been expanding my palate recently, but I didn't hate it. So that's a good step.
Yay!
That's good news right off the bat. I like it. It's really good. It's very floral. It's very citrusy. It's very quote unquote perfumey. But what's crazy is at the same time, it's got the tartness. It's not too extreme, but it's there. It's got the little bit of funkiness to it. But like I said, it's got this sort of like spiced background to it. Like it's all the way in the back. It's like the last thing you taste. It's got a little bit of like lemon, but also mixed with black pepper. It's a little earthy. It's got the sweetness. They say this beer is never boiled and never filtered, which, okay, good on you. But yeah, it's like a juicy, carbonated. It's pretty carbonated. It's medium to full bodied, but it's pretty carbonated, like really well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a mini juice bomb that leaves the back end of your throat tingling with spice. And so at 3.5%, I mean, for the hard head sour people, I mean, you could kill this whole 500 ml bottle in half a minute, but I'm going to sip and take my time. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, I am definitely starting to detect those Tahitian vanillas and the toasted coconut, and because it's toasted, it's almost like a little subtle bit of like maybe chocolate or something earthy behind it. But all this stuff is so subtle because the lemon and the pineapple is like, that's a hard flavor to get past. It definitely is acidic.
When my mom describes someone as drunk, she likes to use the word toasted.
Fucking Siri thought I was talking to her, so she cut you off. I didn't hear what you said.
What happened?
Siri showed up. It's
Siri. Hey, girl. She want a beer? Come here. We'll give you something.
Siri
Drink this.
talking to me. I got the other one talking to me.
What's her name?
Don't worry about it.
No. What is it? I can't.
No, it's
how are the good people at home supposed to know who you're talking about?
The
Siri?
Amazon version. You go figure that out. Don't say her name.
I mean, if I say it, she's not going to hear it.
Correct.
If I scream really loud and perforate your eardrum, maybe she'll hear it.
Grimm Artisanal Ales is a Brooklyn-based brewery, as I alluded to. It was founded in 2013 by Joe and Lauren Grimm. That's Grimm. They launched in 2013 with From the Hip, which was a Belgian-style golden ale spiced with rose hips. And for a long time, they rarely rebrewed a recipe. They were small batch, limited release. They still are. But for the first 5 years, they were operating as a nomadic brewery out of the couple's kitchen in Gowanus. By the way, they have a great kitchen. I've seen pictures of it. It's lovely.
Dude. These two people are the epitome of couple goals.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're not.
They're just so awesome working together. Their kitchen is dope. They're working out of their kitchen for 5 years, and then they opened a permanent location in East Williamsburg in June of 2018. So they blew up, and they blew up kind of quickly. Not bad.
They did. They were brewing they have kind of a crazy and awesome story. They were going to school at Brown. They're artists. He's a musician. She's doing were sculptures and all kinds of stuff. They're artists. They moved to Chicago. They were involved in the art scene there, and they were going to these like underground concerts, and they were brewing beer to bring to the concerts.
Just brewing there and gaining popularity through the small concert scene, and spreading the word is the best way to do it.
Then they started to operate it as a CSA to make their underground beer operation a little bit less illegal. And then in 2018, that's when they moved to the brick and mortar location. But I mean, for 5 years, they were brewing out of their kitchen, and sometimes brewing through contracts with, there was a brewery in Virginia and one in upstate New York that was helping them out for a while. But now they got a spot.
And what's so cool about these guys is that, based off of, what we've been able to find. They are so Brooklyn-y. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
they when they were brewing from home, they'd put it all together, they wait for the water to cool, and they're like, all right, let's go get a breakfast sandwich at our spot 2 blocks away. They almost set up shop in a building that was literally next door. And that is, to me, like, so New York and so Brooklyn. Like, everything is in walking distance. They would have had, like, no problem just walking over. Everything is, like, so compact in the area where they live. And they're able to spread their beer to everyone in that area so easily.
Yeah, if you can imagine a brewery with a total artist spirit operating in the most hipster neighborhood you can find, complete with
Grimm.
nomadic hipster history, eye-popping artwork on the labels. Like, picture whatever you're picturing in your head, you nailed it.
You got it.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. They are now located on the border of Williamsburg and Bushwick, in a 7,500 square foot production brewery. There's a lot of natural light. There's a lot of dope artwork. I'll get into the artwork a little bit later. But the tap room overlooks their 30-barrel brew house, 60-barrel and 90-barrel fermenters, and over 160 barrels worth of oak barrels dedicated to aging sour beer.
Yeah, they don't skimp on the sour portion of their offerings. As noted, your pineapple cocktail Little Umbrella Explosion and my ruby red grapefruit make you want to sing sour. That's what I'm calling it now.
You changed.
They're offering. Guys, listen. I could provide for them. They would know what's up. But yeah, they've really doing it really well. 10 plus draft beer lines, bottle conditioned oak aged sours, like you said, available by the glass, with a selection of New York State wine and cider, locally made sodas. They've got food prepared by their friends at, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Samesa, Samesa, Samosa, Samasa, Samu.
Cool. He didn't know either. They offer growlers, cans, bottles to go as availability permits. We can get into it a little bit later, but right now they're doing mostly to go. And if you go to the website, you can order and get beer shipped to you, and they have case deals. So get on it.
You certainly can. But Gabe, what if I don't like sours? Do they have, I don't know, an IPA?
Too bad. Go to another brewery. Of course, they have other options.
All right, let's go get some IPAs, and we'll tell the people about that.
More beer, please. Hey.
All right.
Get more beer. Let's do it. Whoa. Sorry.
You good, Sammy Davis?
No.
Okay.
Not.
I am doing their Mosaic Rewind West Coast IPA. This is a revamped version of their classic Rewind, or a follow-up to it, which was their West Coast-inspired IPA. This one that I am drinking is a single hop rendition featuring Mosaic hops. Tropical fruitiness layered with West Coast malt character and a lingering resinous bite of bitterness to create a highly drinkable East meets West Coast IPA. It was canned on April 9th, 2020.
Damn it. If only if it was April 29th.
It would be my birthday. ABV, 87%. IBUs, there are some. I couldn't tell
They're
you
in there
how,
somewhere.
I don't know how many, because no one would really tell me about it, but there are some in there. SRM chart around 11 to 13. It's like a orangey thing. Nice orange amber glow. Less hazy than the previous one. Definitely not a hazy IPA, but not totally see-through. Beer Advocate, it's too new for them. It only had one review. Untapped has it at 4.06. Yeah, this beer was released on April 10th. So
Wow.
it was mine was canned on April 9th. The beer was released on April 10th. It's brand new, and their website is also very COVID-y right now. Like, it's hard to get a lot of information about a lot of beers. So like really the only information you can find comes from Instagram. So we're flying solo, people. That's why you come. That's why you come to me. That's why we have the podcast.
I can just picture their website, just people running around like, "What do we do?" Just like things on fire.
Well, like you click on all beers, and it's like takes you to like some beer event from like 3 years ago. It's like there's not a lot of info, and also this is a new beer, and they just like didn't bother putting it on the website because
I had
COVID.
trouble getting my beers. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wait a minute, okay. But
we don't blame them, but that's what happens when, I feel like we become accustomed to these, you do Sierra Nevada and it's like you go to their website and it's like huge and it has the ingredients of everything that's on there and it's like, a huge operation. You go to Grimm and it's like they're busy.
And then there's us trying to create our own and we're like, I'm just trying to change the text font. Like,
don't even get me started. I'm drinking it out of a sort of a tumbler glass thing. It had a thick white head, dissipated into a ring around the glass. It does have a decent amount of lacing on the nose. IPA. That's what I get on the nose. IPA. I get beer. No, it's sort of a resiny bitterness up front. Notes of pine. There is
the
like
classic IPA smell.
Yeah, the West Coast IPA smell. Like it doesn't smell like the juicy New Englands. It smells like a West Coast IPA, which is what I really like. Behind that, there is sort of a muted citrus, some guava, papaya, maybe cantaloupe. A little bit musky, but not juicy. It smells like a resin, like a nice resiny West Coast IPA.
Nice.
And then there was the sipping.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's the first thing that hits you is that Mosaic hoppiness. And when I say Mosaic hops, I am not talking about Kashmir hops. I am not talking about Strata hops. I'm talking about Mosaic hops. They're not citrusy, but they're citrusy. They're juicy. There's a fruity character that comes forth for sure. Notes of grapefruit, orange, cantaloupe, papaya. And that hits you first. So it's kind of an inverted thing because when you smell it, the first thing you smell is the pininess, the resin, and then the citrus is in the background. But when you drink it, it's kind of flipped. You get the citrusy hoppiness first, and then behind that definitely settles into a nice pininess, some bubblegum, sap, pine needle, those kinds of things. It's a hybrid.
That still blows my mind about the bubblegum flavor of it, and it's like it's so right, but it's just like I'm drinking an IPA beer that's earthy and yeasty, and I taste bubblegum. Like it's just like what? But it's true. It blows my mind every time.
I love this. If I'm being honest,
nice.
I just really like IPAs with bite. I think our listeners know that by now. It's drinkable. It's middle of the road ABV wise. 7%. It's like the alcohol is there, but it's not in the realm of a double. It's refreshing. It's full in the mouth. It's grassy. It's flavorful. The malt character is there, but it's subtle. It's well balanced. I really love this because I understand the trend towards juicy New England IPAs, the hazy thing. I get it, and I like those as much as the next guy in the right context, but I'm always going to be a big fan of those West Coast biting, bitter babes.
Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, I feel like the East Coast ones, they're good. It's, for me, it's like, what am I in the mood for? Do I want the bite? Do I want to really feel it? Or do I want the flavor of it?
Yeah, and this is a nice hybrid of the two. I mean, it's not the thing, sometimes beers are so bitter and so IPA-y that when you smell it, you just get the resin going through you. You're just like, Yeah. This isn't that, but I mean, it's definitely like, if you're not an IPA person, you are not going to like this. The Classic Rewind, which was the precursor to this, was unique because of their house yeast strain, which it's a yeast strain they have that's over 50 generations deep, constantly adapting to its environment in Brooklyn. You know, yeast is a living thing, and they have their yeast in Brooklyn, and it's kind of adapting to its environment. It's kind of like sourdough bread in San Francisco. It's just like is a product of where it is. So that made their Classic Rewind unique. I can't say for sure that yeast is in this beer, but I would imagine it is. And, you know, that imparts esters of peach, mango, white grape. All those things are in here, so I would be sure that their house yeast is what they used on this one as well. It's delicious. Go find it if you can. Mosaic Rewind out now. Read about it on Instagram and nowhere else. I'll give it a Beer Advocate review if I have the wherewithal.
All right, out of 10, what do you give it?
8.
Oh,
I gotta leave room for those nice,
of course,
doubles or the barrel aged situations.
Yeah,
but as
course.
IPAs go, it's good. It's really good.
Nice, solid. I'm happy for you, Steven.
Thank you, Gabe. I'm gonna sit here and just spend some time with it while you drink whatever the heck you got over there.
My second and final selection of the evening is the Castling Farmhouse Pale Ale. It is coming at a 5.5% ABV. The IBUs are at 65. On the SRM chart, we're looking at, I would say, between like a 7 and a 10. Very yellow, classic beer color.
Looks even lighter than that to me.
see-through.
It's so, like, from here it looks so light.
Yeah,
to the
I think
camera.
it's just like the light in my room and on
Yeah.
the camera. It's a little darker in person, but yeah, I see what you're seeing, and it's like looks like just flavored water. But it's a little see-through. It definitely not like hazy or anything, but it just looks very light, so I'm assuming it is. Beer Advocate gave it an 88. Untapped gave it a 3.71. It is made a little differently. It's produced by step mashing a 100% Pilsner grist and hopping heavily with Hallertau, Hirschsprücher, and our favorite kind, Tettnang!
Tettnang!
This Farmhouse Pale Ale made with Tettnang! Get it down!
You got
while
that Tettnang over
lasts.
there?
You got that Tettnang? The brewery... we have too much fun. The brewery describes this beer as, not everyone will get it, but this is for the real ones. Brewed by step mashing 100% German Pilsner malt, adding loads of noble Hallertau and Tettnang hops, and fermenting with a funky, expressive farmhouse yeast. So crisp, so bitter, so refreshing. So let's get into the nose. Okay, so right off the bat, first thing I'm smelling is the yeast. Very, very straightforward. It's got the characteristic aroma of a Belgian beer, which is interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense, given everything you just said. That checks out to me.
Yeah, very crisp. Got a little bit of the fruity, maybe a little citrus. Let me see. Okay, I'm getting a little banana. I'm getting like apples and pears almost, just like a tad bit. So without further ado, let's drink it out of my brand new Tyrion Lannister Game of Thrones glass that somebody in this podcast got me as a birthday gift. Thanks, bruh.
Somebody in this podcast. Who could it be? Our faceless producers.
FNX.
FNX got you that glass. Wow. I honestly thought you had an IPA. I didn't realize it was this Farmhouse Pale Ale. And I feel like we've really run the gamut of beer styles that are coming out of Grimm. Have we sold you yet? There's something for everybody at Grimm Artisanal Ales.
Okay, first of all, Don't say it like that. Artisanal like that. Don't act like we're not going to speed past that. Like you didn't just say what you said. You knew I was going to hear that.
It's how it's spelled.
He tried to slowball it in there. Like, oh, maybe he won't say anything. Oh, I'm definitely calling you out on it. It's hilarious. Artisanal beer. Oh God, we're going to get sued. It's fine. Any press is good press at this point.
I guess.
So it's a 5.5%, but it tastes like a 1%. Like it doesn't taste like that.
It tastes like a 1% beer. It tastes like O'Doul's.
I don't know what a 1% beer is. It's been described as medium carbonation. I would disagree. I think it's a lot lighter than that. It's very, very easy to drink. There's a little bit of carbonation, but it's got the crisp, dry finish as it goes down. I'm definitely, what I've read about is what I'm getting on the taste. It's crisp. It's got a little bit of bitterness to it, but it's got those like the apple and pear, as I mentioned. It's very, very yeasty and a little bit of banana. There's been also talk about how there's been a taste of peaches, and I don't think I'm necessarily getting peach. I'm a little iffy on the banana part, but definitely apple, pear, yeast, and crispness.
Well, the banana makes sense given the Pilsner grist and the hop profile that you mentioned. That makes sense to me.
I would say though, I smell it more than I taste it, and I've found that to be true with not just Grimm, but with many beers. I just poured a little bit more, and the head is just like
that's thick.
Inch thick. That's a thick boy. That's pillowy and cloudy, and it looks like you could take a nap on it. The lacing is a little sticky, but running down the glass pretty quickly. All in all, solid. This beer, I'm into it.
Okay. What's your favorite between the two that you drank? Which one do you like more?
Okay. I'm going to be honest. The sour.
Bang! Exclamation point!
Wow.
Yeah, that's I gotta be honest.
Those are big words coming from Gabriel Apria.
I like them both. They're both great, but the sour just had more. It had more excitement to it. Like this beer is solid, but it's just like a classic. Like it's a beer. It's got some flavor and it's easy to drink. But it was like, okay, I went on a journey. I'm tasting this. I'm feeling this. This reminded me of a thing from my childhood. Not really, but you see where I'm going with this. There was just a little bit more to the sour, for me, but I do like this Farmhouse Pale Ale. What about you?
My favorite is the IPA, but that's just because I love these kinds of IPAs, and I think they did a great job with this, but the sour was excellent too. I think that this brewery really loves their sours, and I think that they put a lot of time in. They didn't brew IPAs for a long time. I think it wasn't until it was like years in that they decided to finally start doing it. So I'm happy that they did. I love what I have, but the sour was excellent and unique.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know if I'm correct about this, but I feel like it's opposite with breweries. I feel like they start with like IPAs and then they're like, let's introduce sours rather than the other way around.
Yes, because the IPA is the mass produced. Everyone wants to drink an IPA, right? So like, your go-to with your brewery is like, well, what's your IPA? That's the first thing everyone wants. And then sours and more artisanal small batch stuff is more like the niche stuff that you do later, but that's, I feel like, the spirit of this brewery. They're so creative and they were brewing out of their kitchen for 5 years. I don't think they really knew that they were going to take off the way that they did, and I think this goes back to what we were talking about years ago, which was like, years ago. What? This goes back to what we were talking about episodes ago.
Years ago. When we were just coming out of college.
Listen, it feels like years at this point. Every day feels like a year. I feel like it goes back to what we were talking about. This brewery brews for the love of the beer. They didn't sit down and go, okay, business plan. How are we going to make it? How are we going to become billionaires? They just fell in love with beer and they brew it for themselves and then their friends and then their neighborhood and now the world.
Right, and that's so apparent when you're living in Brooklyn with your significant other and you're like, let's make beer out of our kitchen. And then 5 years later, you're doing so well that you're like, we need more space. Not a mention of like, oh, we could, no, like that. You can tell. I mean, it's just the overall aesthetic of the brewery and the way they make their beer. I mean, they put a lot of heart and soul into it. And you know, you can be a big company and be in it for the money and still put your heart and soul into it. That's cool. But I mean, it's really straightforward with good old Grim Reaper.
We don't have a whole lot of time to go into this, but I would feel like we did them a disservice if I didn't mention the artwork on the cans. The artwork is a big part of Grimm Brewery. Artwork is largely designed by Greta Johnson, who is a friend of theirs from RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. She was around. She was a good friend of the couples, and she was around for the earliest days of Grimm's experimentation. Definitely was sampling some of their brews before they were ever passed on to anybody else. You know, definitely was experimented on. But she has a whole line of just incredible sort of abstract, very Brooklyn artwork that she's done for their cans. Oftentimes the labels don't really have anything to do with beer, but she, you know, they pick a title, they give her the title. She looks at the title and tries to come up with something evocative in her artwork, and she generally seems to go from the gut. She also designed the wallpaper in the bathrooms at the brewery now that they have a brick and mortar space. I'm not really sure why she got the bathroom assignment, but whatever. And also the custom glassware.
It probably looks gorgeous.
Yeah. Greta, can you go deal with the shitter?
I do have to say, I feel like in a past life, I think a job I would love to have would be coming up with artwork for different beers for a brewery. That's gotta be like a badass job. Like, this is the name of the brewery. This is the style. This is what we're going for. Go.
Yeah, I can't say that Greta Johnson does all the artwork now. I'm not sure. But in the early days, she definitely was. And her style is, you know, if you see a Grimm can, like the ones that you can see on our Instagram when this episode goes up, the artwork really stands out. They're eye-popping. They jump off the shelf. So I wanted to give a quick shout-out to Greta. And for a list of things that were recently on tap at Grimm, you can check out their website. Like Gabe said, they are also doing online sales, to-go orders if you're in Brooklyn, and shipping to all of New York for now.
They've got all different kinds of stuff. I'm looking at Imperial Stouts, Imperial Milk Stout, West Coast IPA, Session IPA, Oatmeal Stout, Blended Barrel-Aged Sour. Oh boy. Triple, double.
We have to go. But before we do, we're going to hit our fun topic. I'm just going to throw out there right now. This is not safe for work. This is NSFW. Get the kids out the room. If you're listening to us in your car.
Wait, NSFW?
Not safe for work. You haven't seen that before?
I don't believe so, no.
And also, we're talking to a very niche crowd right now. So if you shut the episode off now, we understand. But
they're going to hear funny. 3 words and go, nope.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't know what you've been doing in quarantine, people, but I have chosen to take the time to replay through Zelda Ocarina of Time. One of the best video games, if not the best video game in human history. And yeah, I'm going to go there. It's
that's a statement right there.
It's such a good game. Like, N64 is my favorite. I'm not a big gamer, but I have a big soft spot in my heart for N64, specifically this game. It's incredible. But okay, the reason we're bringing it up is because I'm playing it and I'm like, there's a lot of sex in this game. And it's weird and it's
You miss it as a kid. You miss it.
And there's a lot of just like stuff that I'm like, just shocking stuff. So I was like, somebody else has to have noticed this. So I Googled it, which I don't fully recommend because I was led down a lot of weird rabbit holes. But I was brought to one of the most amazing YouTube videos by some gamer nerd named Teej Hero, and God bless you, sir, who put together a video. It's like 8 minutes long of him just going through all of the most sexual things he could find in Zelda Ocarina of Time, and
hilarious.
It is simply brilliant.
I'm going to take you through, and we're going to take a look at some of the most sexual moments in Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time moments. The Great Fairies. Kids probably were either traumatized or really turned on by those 64-bit pointy pixelated titties. Up in Goron City, a Goron talks to you about how they don't have any seeds or nuts. This guy is rock hard and going after this rock. I mean, look at those 3 dots. Anyone who has ever texted a girl knows exactly what that means. Appreciate some hard wooden goodness with the nipples that you can actually hook onto with the hook shot. That is awesome. Link, you son of a bitch.
Oh man, I will say right off the bat, listen, those fairies at those fairy fountains when they jump up, I remember as a kid being like, wow, they're like straight up naked. Okay.
And they're like healing you out of their straight up splayed V legs. They're like, it's
the way they present. They do this presentation thing where they extend their arms and their legs are just open. And if you think about it, like obviously, like he said, 64 pixelated titties, but like they're just wrapped in vines. Like vines are basically see through anyway.
But what nobody's talking about, like, okay, there's a lot of stuff like. At one point, there's a dude in the village he comes from where he's like, he appears to be humping a rock. And like, there's a lot of stuff that we could go like, okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah, he's trying to lift it and he's like doing that.
But what no one's talking about, and I don't understand why, is when you're at the top of that mountain, there's those creatures, whatever they're called. Gorons. Yes. And when you when you save them from the dragon thing and you play the song for the guy who's like the head guy, he has an orgasm. It's undeniable. I mean, he's like, you play the song for him, the camera goes wild, there's stuff shooting, he's throwing his arms in the air and he's going, oh, ... oh, ... oh yeah, ... keep going.
Yeah.
In all caps. It is undeniable. If that's not an orgasm, I want to know what they were going for. It's not a question of pixelation. It's not a question of bad graphics. It's not a question of dating or the time. That is what it is.
What's crazy is the game designers were probably like, well, the kids will probably just be like, oh, he's dancing. And that's what I thought when I was a kid. And then I had the similar experience. I love this game so much. I'm one of those people that like every little while, like every 2 years, I'm like, all right, I got to pick this back up again. And I just breeze through it just because I know where everything is now. But yeah, like I remember playing it not too long ago and got to that point and was like, what? Oh, yeah. Okay. Relax, bruh. Like, yeah, he goes for it.
It happens twice. And the second time specifically is just like, it made my jaw drop. I was like, I don't understand why everyone isn't talking about this. I mean, I do. It's a game from like 20 years ago, but it's still hilarious to me. And I wanted you people to know about it. And now you do. You're welcome.
The article that you found, the Reddit article, when you're in the Spirit Temple, this is actually genius. So, when you're a kid and you go to the Spirit Temple for the first time, you have to get the silver gauntlets for Nabaru. And she says if you help her, she says she will, quote unquote, do something amazing for you, ... Then you beat the temple and then she gives you the medallion and you're older. And she says, I wish I had known you'd grow up to be such a handsome young man. I should have kept my promise I made you, ... It's, I don't know if that's the exact quote, but it's like, if that's not an innuendo.
There's plenty of that. I mean, the little water princess chick, she is like,
oh my God.
At one point she's
thirsty.
Like, she's thirsty and she makes him like promise to be engaged to her and stuff. But like at the end of her little bit, she is like, she's like, I'm going to give you my precious jewel. Don't tell anyone I gave you. And then the screen goes dark and in slow letters, it appears on the screen and it's just like ... Don't tell my father.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with that? I know what that means.
That's like prom night, and you're you're ready to change your life forever.
Thank you again for spending another episode with us and with the fine folks at Grimm Artisanal Ales. Please follow the show on Facebook, like us on Instagram, Twitter, at the HO Podcast. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Even though you think that doesn't mean anything, it really does. It helps the show, and it takes you like 2 seconds to do. But like if you provide your feedback for the show, it helps us make the show better for you, and that's what we want to do. So please engage with us.
Let us know what you want us to drink. Let us know what breweries we should hit. Let us know what types of drinks we should hit. If you want us to repeat a brewery with different options, hey,
that's
we'll
doable.
See. We don't know. Let us know what you want. We are here for you. Thank you guys for another great round, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Brooklyn.